Good morning, happy Friday. Welcome to the Pitchlight Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tats, and I'm here with Rob. And Rob, we've been talking a lot about the outfield alignment, the infield alignment, pitching, starting, the bullpen. And I want to shift the focus back to the catching position to start the show because we're seeing uh, Austin Wells after what we saw last year. We're all hyped up, like, okay, this is a guy that we can all rally behind. This is a guy that can be an incredible contributor to the success of the team. And with Trevino not being able to start really getting involved with the games yet this spring, and it's pretty much been like Wells, White Vet, we saw Navarez a little bit. Um, Austin Wells is really making a excellent case to be the catcher on opening day, and throughout the foreseeable future as the everyday catcher, with Royfed being the backup, which is what I think a lot of fans are looking forward to. But when you're actually able to see the plan come into fruition, it gives you a little hope that, you know what, we are seeing something that we weren't able to lately, which is have, until we had Trevino, we were kind of mixing and matching with the catching position and trying to figure out which catch is comfortable with which pitcher, because that also is that is always a factor. Some, especially veterans, they prefer the guys that they like to throw to. Wells caught our staff very well last year and is carrying over into the spring. Are you as confident as I am that Wells can really be that guy that is our everyday catcher?
No, there's not going to be an everyday catcher. We know how the Yankees operate, but he should be the top guy if there's going to be a guy that plays more. I think Trevino's actually supposed to play tomorrow or no Sunday, so he'll get his first spring action. So there's a chance he makes it to regular season healthy. We'll see, but it should be Wells just for his bat alone and the fact that his defense has been a lot better than people give him credit for. Because early on, he was being called the left-handed Gary Sanchez, and that's obviously not the case because he's caught the games very well. He's not having any issues behind the plate like Gary did, and his arm is really good. And aside from his arm, he's framing. I think he's learned a lot from having Trevino around. That's a big key.
Yeah.
Also, pretty much everybody, he had Higgy last year to learn from, who's a defensive first catcher, and so is Rortvet, to be honest. Rortvet's not an offensive first guy. These are all defensive first catchers that he's been around. So that's a good sign. And you're seeing it translate into the game, and knowing that the fact that he's a lefty, the more playing time he gets, the more he's going to pop a few over that wall. And he could be a 15, 20 home run guy, maybe more with regular playing time. I just don't see the Yankees giving one person at the position a ton more games than the other, because we know when Trevino is healthy, he's going to get playing time. The Yankees don't like to play catchers too many days in a row for obvious reasons. So it should be Wells 1, Trevino 2, but if Trevino's healthy, he's more than likely starting opening day simply for Garrett Cole. But I do want to see Wells out there more as much as possible because I'm very excited for him.
Yeah, and I know we don't use the everyday catch, but I think until Trevino is healthy and back 100%, because I do want to see more of a platoon. But I think they're going to give him the nod more times than not during the games until Trevino is works his way back up to playing every day, because he's getting a late start on the spring. So that he's not going to be available. He'll be available, but he might not be in full form when the season officially starts. So we're going to see. We'll see how that all plays out. But right now, if they were to say, look, Wells is is our regular guy and Royfed's the backup, I have not one complaint. So it's. I like his I like his bat. He's taken a. He's got a. One of the things we're seeing from a lot of these younger kids is they have a very mature approach at the plate, and then they're not trying to win anybody over. They're just playing their game, And I think that's something that's really stood out this spring.
Yeah, it starts with Wells. You look at even Volpe's having another good spring. I'm just hoping that translates to the regular season
Yeah.
because he's been hitting every game. But you look at some of these other kids we've seen, Spencer Jones was up here hitting. Lombard had some good at bats early on in the spring. Vivas was having good at bats. He's since slowed down a bit. So you're seeing a lot of these younger players come up and they're focusing on certain things. That's what you do in the spring, but they're also trying to kind of put their name on the map a little bit for future references. We know that Vivas ain't going to be here this year unless something goes wrong. Same thing with Lombard and even Spencer Jones. But the fact that you're getting an early glimpse of them, it's certainly a good sign because I think Vivas, I think he's going to be good. I've said this before. I'm not worried about a few bad spring at bats because there are other players that have struggled as well. So and also he's very young. You're going to see that. And again, we're still 20 plus or 20 days away from opening day. There's nothing to worry about with these younger players, but everyone just seems to have a goal. Even in spring training, it seems like they're playing like these things matter, and that's something that we haven't seen in the past. So, especially for these younger players, that's what you want to see.
Yeah, no, the approach this spring has been insane. It's been enjoyable. Damien's thrown in there, going on. Damien, he was at the game. It was packed. And we said this, at the end of the show on Wednesday. You're seeing the attendance at these spring training games is really on the increase. You're seeing a lot of turnout. And it's not just the Yankees. But you're seeing some of these teams the teams that put the work in the off season, the fans are showing up for early in the spring. So that's a good thing for baseball overall. But really, with the Yankees, with Vivas, he still, I think, we talked about him a lot when he was swinging it and really impressed us all. He might be. We talked about it. We might see him next year as Torres' replacement. Depending on what the status of Peraza, who we're going to get into, the way that they are playing these spring games like they matter. And I think that's a winning mentality in an organization, and that's something that can't be taken for granted either.
Yeah, and it's a good to see an early look at some of these younger players. And I agree, Joan. I don't think he's ready just yet. And I also agree that we're probably going to be picking up a utility guy because Cabrera has stunk. He's looked really bad. And this is not just a spring thing because he was bad last year. And I know he was a little bit better in the second half, but he's just been really bad to a point where even though he's a switch hitter and plays everywhere, you don't know what his role is right now. And unless he picks it up these next couple of weeks, I can't imagine that he might make the team simply out of who we have because of Peraza's injury, if this is a bad thing. But I don't really trust Cabrera right now until he needs to start hitting. I know he can play defense, but the fact that he can't hit from either side of the plate right now is really disappointing because even if he was just like exclusive to being a left-handed bat, you would hope that's the case, but he's been really, really bad. So maybe it's Jahmai Jones that gets a shot. Maybe Jeter Downs gets put on the 40-man roster if he does some things in the minor league camp now. But yeah, Cabrera's not a starter. I'm not saying he's going to start, but I'm saying as a bench piece, who do you see? Because who else do you see making this bench? Because originally we were all saying Cabrera and Peraza, but right now Cabrera has been terrible, and I don't know if he makes the team, but he doesn't have any options, and you're not just going to cut him, because there's still something to unlock there. I think it's just hopefully he unlocks it, and maybe if we do pick up a veteran like Donovan Solano or something that could help him out, but I don't. Yeah, Peraza is hurt. I'm saying if it's too serious, if it's a serious issue, Cabrera probably makes this team simply out of necessity, and then we maybe add a veteran or we stick with a guy like Jahmai Jones who can play all over the place too, or he could play a few positions. But they might have to go and add Donovan Solano simply because we need the bat right now to come off the bench because Grisham's like our only decent bench bat, and even then, that's just a guy that can pop a few from time to time. Our bench is better, but with Cabrera coming out of the gates like this, it definitely diminishes it a little bit. I thought he was going to be better as a utility player off the bench. Hasn't been the case yet. Plus, I don't know what's going on with Peraza's injury.
Yeah, that's why the injury to Peraza really is having more of an effect on the benches than we thought, because you would have had the option if Peraza just really showed them up and showed a lot. You could use him. We can go to what I was saying. Put him at third. And have DJ be the utility infielder. With Peraza, because Peraza can give you gives you the option of giving Volpe a day off and just sliding him over to short. Not having Peraza and Cabrera, and you talk about a guy that really just fell off. I don't know what happened to him. He came in, we were like, he was such a spark for the team and the fan base, and he just hasn't been able to follow up, from his rookie campaign, and he's really struggling. So you don't even have. I don't even think he has the value to even move him. Because if he can't show his value at the plate, a lot of teams might not want to give you what you could get for him. So it really, that also handcuffs or restrains the options of what you could do, because he has no options.
Exactly.
You have to play him or cut him.
Yeah, and a lot of people were like saying you can give the White Sox Cabrera and Pereira and another pitcher for Cease, and that would be enough. And that's why I was kind of like, a lot of people were valuing him because he wasn't good last year.
Yeah,
he really was not good. And the fact that he doesn't have options, a team that's in a rebuild mode, they're not going to have much use for him. It's like, why are we going to take this kid that can't hit for one of our better players? So his value, and it's not the Yankees' fault because they gave him plenty of chances. They started him almost every day when they first called him up. He started in the playoffs, and he was starting a lot last year because of the injuries. He just doesn't hit. And I don't know what it is, because he's got a good swing. He's got potential. He was great a couple of years ago in Double-A. I think he was the MVP of the league or something in the minors. So, I mean, it's obvious the kid's got the skill, but I'm hoping they can unlock it between now and opening day, because I do want him on this roster, because he does offer you something as that utility player. He's got good speed. He plays good defense at multiple positions. There's a role there, but he has to start hitting. So I don't think they're going to move him or trade him or anything, but they should add another bat just in case, because he might be a late inning defensive guy. I don't know if it's JD Davis. I don't know if they want to add his money. Solano might be the best option right now, because he probably won't cost you much to anything, because he's still sitting out there, and it's first week of March. So that might be the route they go. They were in on Urshela. They were in on Ahmed Rosario apparently, and they were in on Kike Hernandez. So clearly they're looking to get a veteran bat on this bench.
Yep. And real quick, just want to give everybody a shout out in the chat. Joan, we are 8 subs away from 600. Let's get to that point. We are ready to go with some content, and we're just waiting for that 600 mark. So get your butts in gear. Hit the like button. Share this out. So good morning to everybody. We got Mazda in the chat. We got FL Diver, Joan, NFV, Jonathan, Brad, Frederick. What's going on, Frederick? And Damien's in the house. Stephen, what's going on? There's a lot of you in here, a lot of comments flowing in. We are loving every second of it. But it really comes to the utility. I don't know if we had a cut Cabrera now and just say, you know what? We know the potential is there. What's going on, JT? We know the potential is there, but is it worth holding onto the potential rather than somebody that can be productive like a Solano? So if they had to cut Cabrera and just cut ties and just see what they can get for him, is that the worst option? No, I don't think so. Look, he's a very fan favorite player. Right? That's established. He can't, he's very good on the field. He can play multiple positions. There is value to him. But like I said, and we've been alluding to, it's the bat that's been the problem. That's where he just kind of, I don't think the Yankees could have afford to just keep waiting and waiting and waiting for that to unlock again. We might just need to, cut the cord and move on. And it really, see, ABX is throwing it out there. You guys are awesome. We are now 6 subs away from the 600 mark. You guys are absolutely the best. And speaking of the best, Mr. Barros, good morning to you. We gotta. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think we could just let Cabrera just move on before it gets any uglier?
No, because that would be. I don't think that'd be very productive. It can be kind of counterproductive. You still have a few weeks left. You still have a good 2 weeks that you can play him in. I would try to get him in as many games as possible. Work with Rosen, get him out there, and try to unlock that bat he had a couple of years ago when we first called him up. Because even though his numbers weren't staggeringly great, he did have some pop. He did have some big hits. They shouldn't just give up on the kid because he's having a rough spring. I need to see the bat pick up a little bit. And if they do that, if he does that, then he'll have a spot on this team. Again, the defense matters. It's just that if Grisham's going to be a fine bat off the bench. And if Peraza was healthy, I don't think this would be an issue right now because Peraza would be your main go-to guy. And Cabrera would just be someone you bring in an emergency situation or late inning defensive replacement or for some speed. That would be his role. But with Peraza hurt, you kind of need Cabrera to start hitting right now so you can use him as you would Peraza. So that's why I think they're still going to add a veteran bat, and that could help Cabrera as well. You get a veteran guy in here, and it'll take a little bit of pressure off him, and he can still make this team. He just needs to pick up the bat because I don't know if Jahmai Jones is that guy. They clearly didn't trust Groshans because they DFA'd him. Jeter Downs was already sent to minor league camp, so how much would they really trust him? Cabrera still has the inside track to make the roster. If that bat does pick up, then we have nothing to really worry about with him, but we need to see it first. And he's looked lost, and maybe he's trying too much. Maybe he's trying to pick up, and we saw that in the regular season with everybody last year. When you're when you're struggling and you're in a rut, you're trying too hard. Maybe he's doing that. Maybe he's to simplify things, and the bat will pick up.
Yeah, and I just think I'm to that point. That's just an option I'm exploring. If when the season's ready to start, if he's not figuring, if we're not seeing any adjustments at all, it's not like one of these. It gets a little tricky because because he's such a likable guy. You want him on your team. You want that energy. You want that, that spark. But we also need wins. We need production. We need to keep this offense, in gear where you don't have that hiccup in the lineup. And right now he's unfortunate, but he's the hiccup in the lineup. So I look like you wanted to cut me off to correct me on something.
Oh, was I muted? No. I think I muted. I was gonna say, well, he's not in the lineup though. He's on the bench. So that there,
yeah.
It's not like he's going to be playing every day. Like if this was last year, then we'd have a lot to be concerned about. But this year, Verdugo's over him, Soto, Judge, Stanton, even Grisham. He's like 5th on the totem pole, basically. And even if we do add a bat to come on the bench, he's going to be even lower on that. He might be the last guy out of the 13 bats we have. He'd be number 13, really, out of the guys that get the most use. So that's why I think he just needs to relax a little bit, and the hits will start to come. I don't think we should be overly. I don't know how to use the word here, but I don't think we should be overly pushing to get him out of here. I don't know if that makes any sense. I don't want to get rid of him for no reason, for having a rough couple of weeks in spring. There's still 3 more weeks to go. So let's give it till the end of spring. It's the same thing we can say about Rodon. I'm sure we'll get into him. I don't want to overreact about a bench player. This is not like a starter. Last year he was supposed to start for us, and it stunk because he wasn't playing well. This year he's supposed to be like the last option on the bench, essentially. So I want to give it a little more time with him. It is a shame though that he's struggled this way, because this would have been a chance for him to really put himself back on the map.
Yeah, especially with Peraza's issue. Like you said, Peraza is kind of the one that's kind of leading the charge in the discussion, because it all circles back to Peraza. And we're going to see what happens with the MRI today. Hopefully, it's nothing, and it's something that's not going to really push him back at all. It's unfortunate that of all the because every spring you get injuries. We've seen it throughout baseball. It just sucks that it's him. You don't want anybody to get hurt, but we were hoping that Peraza this spring was going to be that he was going to force them to make a tough decision. And unfortunately, with the injury, they really don't have any tough decisions on their plate right now. Joe's, let's get to some of these comments here. So we got Joe and Diego. Yankees did give Cabrera a chance to prove himself. He's just making weak contact. Yeah, and that's why we Rob wants to see what other adjustments that he makes during the spring to and it's like you said, it's just a bench player. But if we're able to get a veteran bench player that can get contact, we might have to make that's what I'm saying. We might have to make that tough decision, and it wouldn't bother me if they had to make the decision to move on. That's all. Jones in here, Peraza did a lot of weightlifting in the offseason. Wonder if that's why he's having shoulder issues. That's possible. I don't know why they're so obsessed with the weightlifting. I really don't. Excuse me. You want to have you want to have some arm strength and the upper body strength, but there are more productive ways to do it. Along with the weight room, like we're always joking around with Stanton, try some yoga once in a while, and put the weights down, work on, run on a treadmill, do something,
he's doing that, and now they're complaining.
Well, yeah, so. Yeah. Well, Stanton's another one we have to get into because he's Stanton. Acevedo's on Cabrera need to cut down his step on the swing. Yeah, well. That's why I think it was Steven that was saying earlier. They need to go back and look at the film from when he first came up, and he really was being highly productive. And see maybe the new hitting coach is going to figure out, what changed in his stance that's causing him to have, that issue with the, and not making full contact. So we'll see how that all goes. Caputo, what's going on, Caputo? I missed you the last couple of days. So I wouldn't worry too much about Peraza. He's a bench player, but I guess if they lose him, they have no other options. Well, I don't think they're going to lose Peraza. But really, what we were talking about more about Cabrera.
Yeah.
Peraza, they're going to ride that out until they have no choice. We've talked about it in the past. The patience that the Yankees do have with guys. We saw it with, they kept giving up, chances to Bird, to Sanchez, Tyler Wade, they hung on to. Talk about bench players, Tyler Wade, they hung on to forever. So that might help Peraza and Cabrera. It might give them the option to really take their time and get this done right. What's going on, John? Welcome to the chat. We got Brad on here now. I believe that Peraza had the injury before he came into camp. That's what a lot of people are saying, that he wasn't feeling it and aggravated. Spring training aggravated the injury. That's my feeling, to be honest. I don't think you're wrong. So we did mention briefly with Stanton when spring camp first started, we saw a very different approach from Stanton at the plate that we were feeling really confident about. I'm not seeing that anymore. What do you think happened?
I mean, again, it's spring. This is what guys are working on. They're trying. Stanton's trying to change his swing. He's trying to change his approach. Obviously, he's dropped muscle, so he can't just hack at it and hope it goes 600 feet. He's got to be a little more. He's got to change his approach a little bit. I'm not going to use a few bad spring games as a starting point to move on from him now, because I'm seeing a lot of people already like, just cut him now, eat the money. It's not going to happen. That's why they're dropping him in the lineup a little bit. You'll probably see him batting 6 now on opening day, if we're being honest. But again, he's a slow starter. When do we, if Stanton had been killing it in this spring, the way that Soto has, the first week of the regular season, if Stanton goes like 0 for 6, they're going to say, what the hell was the spring about? Spring training MVP. What does it matter? So again, they need to give it time. There's a new hitting coach. Thank you, NFE. They need to give it time. These things take time. If everyone came out swinging the bat like Soto is right now, the expectations would be even higher than they already are. I'm not saying Stanton needs a complete break, but yeah, he does look a little bit off balance, but this is a guy that drops significant weight. You can see how different he looks. He has to change things up in an effort to stay on the field. This is what he's doing. This is what everyone's saying he needed to do to stay on the field. He's done that. Now he needs to just give him a little more time. If, again, we're talking about a guy that starts slow. We still have 3 weeks left of spring. Let's wait a little bit, because all he has to do is just start hitting homers. If he hits home runs, no one's going to care about his batting average. I'm telling you right now, if the guy hits 220 this year but hits 30 home runs, no one's going to care anymore, because that's better than what we've been getting from him the last couple of seasons, or at least last year. Let's just give it some time. His, like NFE just said, his legs are working. Let's be happy about that. There's a good sign. He's not too old. He is not too old, Caputo. I don't know what you're talking about there. It's not like this guy's 40. What is he, 33? That's not old. If that's old, then Tats and I are freaking relics. So let's just calm down with this he's too old stuff. Let's give it a chance. The guy is trying different things. I've never seen a player that is so hated by a fan base for no reason. I get it. He's been hurt. But let's not act like the guy is not trying everything he possibly can right now to stay on the field. Let's just root for the players on our team. It's one season. Everyone's giving him one season to get it right, or they're going to cut him. I don't think that's happening. If the guy hits 30 home runs this year, he's not getting cut. He's not getting traded. Let's just give it this is spring training, and we're talking about this guy's done because of a few bad spring games. Come on now. If that's the case, then the Orioles should cut Corbin Burns right now. The Marlins should cut Luzardo right now. We should cut Rodon for that start he had the other day. Everyone has a bad spring. The first week needs to get cut, because if they're not good, they're obviously not going to be good in the regular season, right? That's how people are reacting to Stanton. He's got a bad first week. He needs to get cut, right? Well, then Orioles got to cut Corbin Burns too. The Marlins got to cut Luzardo. The Dodgers should cut Yamamoto. He got blasted by the White Sox. They should cut him, right?
Good point. Yeah, it's Robin is mic drop moment. Love it. Love it. No, but it's true, because look, I'm not saying that Stanton's going to come back and be the MVP of the league. He has the talent to do it. I don't think he's going to, but I don't think that's the case. But if he's able to get hit, get you 30, 35 home runs, drive in, get 100 RBIs, and bats 225 is, with the rest of this lineup, I'm not complaining. And it's because we know that anytime that you're able to put up runs, it's a plus, right? That's the whole point of the game. But when you got guys like Stanton, let's also see, because we don't really see him. We haven't seen a lot of him around between hitting. I would like to see them try a couple of games putting him in the cleanup spot and see how he does with that, having Judge and Soto in front of him, and see how the pitches are, because it might just be the way that they're pitching him, but like I said the last show, right? And Rob, you started talking about this also. They're working on certain things, especially, he's trying a new approach. He's working with the hitting staff. They might, he might be one of those guys where they're saying, Well, just look for the fastball. Don't worry about anything else. Just work on your timing for the fastball. And we'll see how everything is adjusting. So that's just the reality of freaking spring training.
Yeah, I mean, has Aaron Judge hit a home run yet this spring? Has he even driven? He's driven in what, one run? Are we going to start thinking, is Judge going to regress this year because he's not hitting homers in the spring? Again, look at Volpe last year in the spring. He killed it. Didn't translate to the regular season. This year he's killing it again. If he translates to the regular season, great, but you don't know. Higashioka was notorious for hitting 10 home runs every spring, and the guy could barely crack 6 by the first 2 months of the season. Like, this is spring training does not necessarily reflect what you're going to do in the regular season. Stanton could have had no hits this spring. Opening day, he could hit 2 home runs.
Yep.
Would be surprised. How I want to look at I want to find Stanton's stats from last spring, because I remember last year he had a home run on opening day, and everyone was like, "Oh, Stanton's back." And then unfortunately he ended up getting hurt. And I understand the injuries are the biggest thing with Stanton, but a lot of people are going to bring it up. They should have never made that trade, blah, blah, blah. Any GM in their right mind would make that trade. If they had a chance to get the NL MVP for Starlin Castro and 2 prospects that have not seen the light of day yet in Miami. So, yeah. I mean, again, I've said this several times. It's really annoying that people want to see this guy fail. They want to see him fail just to kind of fit their own narrative, because they say Stanton's washed or he's done or whatever. So they see him fail. They go, ha, 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 told you so. I didn't want to see Josh Donaldson suck last year. I wanted him to prove me wrong. I know he was a bad player, but I wanted him and I wanted Hicks to have great years. So guess what? That means the Yankees would win. So I want Stanton to bounce back. It's not because I'm just so pro Stanton that I'm not going to take any negativity. I'll be critical on him when I have to be, but if he's hitting, then we're going to be winning games. Is that not what we all want? Yeah, he's declined. Obviously, injuries are going to play a huge part of that, but who's to say he can't do what he did in 2022, which is hit 30 home runs? That's all we need him to do right now in this lineup, because we have Judge, we have Torres, we have Soto, we have Rizzo, we have Verdugo, we have LeMahieu. We don't need Stanton to be the MVP from 2017. We don't even need him to be 2018 Stanton. Be 2021, 2022 Stanton before he got hurt, second half of that season. Yeah. We'll be just fine. You know, again, people are looking too far into spring training stats when that's not going to translate to the regular season all the time.
Yeah, we have him for 4 more years. But look, and we've said this, that trade, George Steinbrenner doesn't even think about it. That's George Steinbrenner's trade every day of the week. Because we heard that narrative years ago, a couple years ago. If George was, and I said, and we sat on this show and said, if George was here, a lot of moves would have been made, including Stanton. Nobody was passing that trade up. So that's the other part of it. I can't, that irritates me.
Last year, Stanton hit 222 in the spring. He had a 255 on base, 267 slugging. Before he got hurt last year, he was hitting like Stanton. He was right back to his usual self, hitting home runs, hitting the ball well, hitting it hard. Spring training does not matter. Your stats in spring training do not matter, especially if you're a veteran. If Aaron Judge was hitless, none of us would care. If Soto was hitless, none of us would care. But because it's Stanton, everyone is saying the guy is washed. Let's see how this translates. Let's see how he does when the games actually matter. That's all I'm saying. You can come back to me if you want. If at the end of the season, the guy is hitting 150 again, then come at me all you want, and I will say I was wrong. But I'm not going to use 1 week. How many games has he played? 6 spring training games, and I'm going to tell you the guy's washed because of 6 games in the spring? Come on, this is what our fans are doing. This is a championship or bust season, and we're talking about 6 games of spring training, and we got to cut Giancarlo Stanton. It's unbelievable what this freaking fan base does from time to time, and that's what pisses me off about it. It's like they want to see these guys fail. You're not going to base an entire season off of 6 spring training games. You just don't do it.
Yeah, this team has made so many improvements. I don't want to just come sit here, every show and just focus on the negative. I mean, like I said, go to sleep at night as a Yankee fan knowing that you have the best pitcher in baseball on your roster and you have the most prolific 2-3 in your lineup that any team would give their left arm to have Judge and Soto back to back. And we have, I just said his name, we have Juan fucking Soto. There's no reason to be negative. It really isn't. We've seen how many times, right? We're to the point where we're really repeating ourselves. It's spring. Players are going, especially veteran players. They're not looking at their stat lines. They're just worrying about, what they're going to be working on that spring to get them ready for opening day. Like you said, Stanton's only played, what did you say, 5-6 games? 6?
6, yeah.
How do you get into a rhythm on 6 games?
You don't. He's only struck out 3 times. Let's just use that as a positive. He's only struck out 3 times in what is that, 15 at bats. So, I mean, it's not like he's striking out a ton. He's trying to, like you said, he's trying to work on some stuff because last year, we know throughout his entire career, he's been bad against the breaking ball. That was the case in Miami in his MVP year. That was the case with us his first year with the Yankees, even though he had a great season. But usually hits the fastball. Last year, he couldn't hit the fastball. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to get his timing right on that fastball at this new stance. And again, we're 6 games in. Let's just wait. There's still 3 weeks left of spring. It's not like the regular season starts tomorrow. It's March 8th today. When does the season start? The 25th, 26th? Come on.
28th.
28th. Exactly 20 days away.
Yep.
There's a lot of time. He can go on a tear. And if he goes on a tear the next 3 weeks, are people going to say, maybe I was wrong? No, they're going to say, prove it in the regular season. So again, spring numbers don't matter for these veterans. That's all I'm trying to say. I will eat crow if I have to at the end of the season if Stanton's terrible again. But I'm not using 6 spring training games, 15 at-bats to base a guy's entire season on. It's not fair to the player. And it's not a smart thing to do.
No, I think we're at that stage where of the spring where I don't want to say everybody, right? I don't want to generalize, and I don't want to single anybody out either. But in general, that you have a percentage of fans that are starting to overanalyze everything going on in spring training instead of just look forward to the regular season, right? Think of this positive. Stanton hasn't gotten hurt, so he's leaving himself available to play. And yeah, you know what? I saw Caputo's been actually had a very different attitude on these streams, where he's himself. He gets a little cranky, but he's had a very different narrative with us, and we appreciate that. But we do need to see where players are going to end up. That's what I'm saying. I wanted maybe we're going to start seeing Stanton in more games. Maybe now that they option some of these kids back down to the minor league camps, we're going to see Stanton get more of those at bats and seeing him get himself back into the mix. And who knows? Maybe he goes on a tear and he's like, and kind of gives everybody that bit of optimism.
Yeah, all he has to do is hit homers this year. That's all I need from him. Just hit home runs. I don't care what you're batting at. Well, in a way, I don't want him hitting 180, but if he hits 220, is anyone going to really give a shit if he has 30 home runs and an OPS of 750 or higher, right? If he's driving in runs in any way possible, are we going to really complain about that right now, especially considering what he was last season? I mean, again, we don't know what's going to happen. It's March 8th, and we're basing a player's entire season that's going to end in October. So on 6 spring training games, and let's say, Damien, he looks like he's running better. So it looks like he's got his legs under him. And again, I think someone brought it up earlier. This is kind of, I think it was Joan. It was a good trade, no matter what people try to spin it as. No one had a crystal ball that would have told you this was going to be the case with him. But they didn't help the fact that they kept him at DH after 2018. Because he should have been playing in the outfield as much as possible because he's better when he does that. And the Yankees continue to DH him no matter what. So let's just hope he has a better season. And that's all we can do. And again, if he's terrible again and they cut him, I'll eat my words. I don't see it happening. I don't see him getting cut with 3 years, 90 million left on his contract. I just don't see it.
Yeah, it's because the Yankees broke him. And they put out this stupid narrative that he's not an outfielder after playing coming through his whole career in the National League before the DH, that he can't field. So they put him as a DH. And he admitted that that's one thing that he had the hardest adjustment to, was coming off just being the DH. It bothered him. He didn't like it. He said, he goes, I feel I'm my healthiest when I'm playing on the field. I feel like I'm more ready for the at-bat. And then you got all these, you have all these media guys that want to, that don't want to lose their pass for the media room, that will spit any narrative the Yankees wanted to. And they destroyed the public image of Giancarlo Stanton, unfortunately. And that's exactly what they did. And with all the negativity around him, the Yankees succeeded in one thing. They changed the narrative on him that he's a bum. But he's not. We've seen what he can do. He's had injury issues. No, we're not saying that he's never got, the injuries haven't been a factor of why fans don't like him. But I stop wishing somebody to fail. It serves you no good. Because that means if he sucks, we're not winning games. Because we're putting the pressure on everybody else.
Yeah, and I agree with Damian and TC, and I agree with everything you just said right there. So again, let's give it time here, guys. It's not like we're in April or not. We're in May or June right now. It's still March. A lot can change between now and the second month of the season. This is a guy doesn't have great spring numbers throughout his career, especially last year, the year before. He was an all-star in 2022. It wasn't that long ago that the guy was hitting. The key with him is always going to be stay healthy. And if he stays healthy, which he's trying to do this year, you'll see a better player. How much better? I'm not sure, because I don't know. Nobody knows. But you will probably see. Again, if he's on the field, you're going to get production. Last year, he was playing hurt, and with constant injuries and having to be the only guy out there, you saw that he was pressing. He was trying too much he's got to hit home runs, and he still hit 20-plus home runs in his worst statistical season ever. So let's just give it time.
I think you're trying to say Stanton, but I think Stanton looks pretty good in the outfield. He's got an underrated arm.
He does.
Yeah. Well, he's making I think, because FJ was saying, he's got to stop with the DH excuse. I think that's why you're seeing him come into the spring this year with a different body shape. Right? He's like, okay, the old me is not working anymore. I need to get more limber. So he made the changes to his body so he could stay healthy and be productive. Let's stop bashing this guy every chance we get. And let's move on to the next guy that everybody loves to trash, Rodon. All right? We didn't get a chance to see what he's like in the spring. This just might be how he is. He might not be the strongest spring training, player. We've seen it time and time again. We've seen players, like we alluded to earlier, that kill it in spring training when the games matter. They fall to mush. So let's pull back a little bit on the expectations and the criticisms and the excitement too, and be like, all right, let's just enjoy that the game is back. We're getting closer to opening day. Like I said, what if after the spring that Soto's having, if he goes 0 for 4 on opening day, the world's going to fucking burn down.
Yeah. The stadium will probably be on fire. And they're not even playing. Yeah, it's just, again, spring training is spring training. And the thing with Rodon is, as long as he comes out of the spring healthy, I'm not going to really be too worried. I just need to see that velocity go up. That's it. I don't expect him to hit 98 anymore consistently, but if he can get it up there to 95, 96, maybe he's trying to add a little movement because you clearly, if you lose velocity, then you got to start using more of a cutter. We saw CC do it. We saw Pettit do it. Maybe that's what he's trying to do. If he can add some more movement with less velocity, he'll kind of mimic that 98 plus fastball. Clearly that back is going to be an issue the rest of the way through because you see the way he's standing, just the way he's standing, it's different. Yeah, exactly. Look at Damian just said his production is different. And it's because I think it's because of that back. You know, he's standing a lot more like straight up than he was when he was with San Francisco. But if that's what he has to do to stay out there and add some movement, that's probably what he's trying because he's throwing a cutter, he's throwing a curve now, and he's throwing a lot more changeups. He's not, and you're seeing the fastball has diminished velocity right now. But if his last spring start, he's still touching 93, then I think we have a reason to be a little bit worried. But I want to see some movement. And I think he got, he did get 95 a couple of times. So let's just, again, he's another player. Come out of the spring healthy, and I'm not going to worry about your stats. You know, I'm not going to worry about your spring numbers if you come out of the spring on the 26-man roster. That's what I need to see from Rodon. If that's the case, then I think he's going to be fine. I don't think he's going to be a Cy Young candidate. I don't think he's going to be what he was in San Francisco, but he just needs to be a good pitcher because we need that behind Cole. And I'm hoping that adding that cutter and throwing more changeups and curveballs will help him out, and I think it will. But again, it's 2 starts. He's working on stuff as well. Let's see how he does by the time he gets to March 25th. And then if he's still struggling with velocity, we'll have a little reason to be concerned there.
Yeah. Yeah. And if he goes, his first start, right? If he gives you 6 1/3, 3 runs, is anybody complaining? No. Yeah, and and also, like I said, I think fans need to brace themselves with these ERAs because they're going to go up. Baseball's trying to improve the offense. They're making all these rule changes, not for the pitcher's favor, it's for in favor of the hitters. So you're going to see the uptick in some of these ERAs for players. And the elite of the elite are going to still have their numbers. Guys like Cole, you're going to see, I think Luis Castillo, he didn't have any effect with his ERA. Verlander, sure, Verlander is going to be hurt to start the year, but you know what I mean?
Well, Castillo's numbers jumped a little bit.
He wasn't
as effective.
Yeah.
He's still good, but not what he was the year before. So, yeah, I mean, again, the elite of the elite are going to still be those guys. But even then, I mean, after Garrett Cole and look at Blake Snell, he still hasn't signed yet. And this was a guy that had the lowest ERA in baseball, I think. So I don't know. I don't know if that doesn't mean if he's adding more movement, it probably helps him in the long run. If we can get for the next 4 years after this year, if he's a lower velocity, more movement kind of guy. But again, we'll see. I think the league average ERA jumped up, right? Is that what Ambrose trying to allude to?
Yeah, it went up. Pretty much went up a whole point.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what he does. Again, he's trying to build up. He's trying to stay healthy. And he said it himself. If he's healthy, that's all he's trying to focus on is coming out of the spring healthy. And then I think he'll be fine. That's the key word with him and Stanton. It's health. I'm not worried about spring training numbers as long as they come out of it healthy. Then I'll be fine. I think Rodon's going to be fine. Will his numbers be what they were in San Francisco? Probably not. But will he be a better pitcher if he's healthy? Yeah, because he wasn't healthy last year. Pitching through 3 different injuries certainly doesn't help. But I do want to see the velocity go up a little bit, and I want to see the ball on the ground because if he's giving up home runs, then that ERA will shoot up.
I think the ground ball. I think what pitching. You want everybody. You want him to pitch to his strength, but you also want him to be able to pitch with the confidence of the defense behind him. And I think they have that. I think you started to see that last year in the second half, where everybody was kind of, all right, I don't have to be the guy. I just have to be a guy amongst 9. And they were playing to their abilities and they were using the abilities of the teammates to get things done. But the other thing I wanted to, while we're talking about like with the criticisms and all of that, I know the one thing that I said that I really wanted on this team was a closer. I think that was the one missing piece from the off season. And I know it's not pencils down or anything like that. For argument's sake, if I know Holmes is gonna, every closer is gonna give up saves. That's just the way it is. Even Mo blew a save once in a while. It was rare when it happened, and it sucked when it happened, and it usually hurt us when it happened, like in '97. But if Holmes ends up at the end of the season, he closes the whole year, and he closes 93, 95% of his games, everybody's signing up for that because you're gonna have those handful. I would say even if he saves 80%, I would take that.
I don't know what his percentage was last year. I think he's better than people are saying. And I agree with Joan about Birdie. He's impressive. He's been really impressive this spring. But yesterday, Hamilton looked great. Hamilton looked really freaking good. I think he had 4 or 5 strikeouts in 2 innings. Ferguson looked a lot better, and Gonzalez pitched well. So those are 3 guys that are going to be staples in our bullpen this year. So that's a good sign that how good their stuff looked. Weaver got lit up, which is a little bit concerning, but again, we'll see how that translates to the regular season. It's kind of a low risk move with him anyway. It's not like if you cut him, we're going to be missing him too much. I don't think we're going to cut him after one bad spring game. I'm just saying Mishwich struggled, but Marinaccio looked better. There's still some spots open on this bullpen, but I every time Nick Birdie touches the freaking mound, I want to watch him pitch. The dude's throwing 98 with ridiculous movement. I want to see it. And I'm not sure who's supposed to start today, but Stroman's starting today, but who's supposed to pitch out of the bullpen today? I think Brian Hoke put it up on his Twitter. I'll look that up in a second. But Watson also played yesterday, and he got a couple of outs. And Danny Watson's a guy to keep an eye on that could potentially make an impact out of the bullpen this year. So, yeah, Stroman's starting today. Yeah, Watson's going to be good, Damian. There's some exciting arms that are coming up that are going to be seeing. We're going to be seeing them this year, the earliest with this bullpen. I'm excited. I'm so excited for this bullpen, and to see that 3 of our staples pitched well yesterday, certainly a good sign. Because Ferguson looked bad his first outing, looked a lot better yesterday. So, yeah, I'm excited for this bullpen, man.
Yeah, I'm not. There's concern with there's always concern when it comes to the back end of the bullpen, and I think that if there's one area where they still look to make a move or they'll make an in-season adjustment, that's what it's going to be. Because I think our rotation is set. I'm not worried about the rotation. I'm not worried. I would like. I said this with TC and Hector yesterday. I'm still looking to see. I'm still waiting to see who's going to be the next Michael King. Who's going to be the long man that you could throw into a spot start, and not miss a beat when he goes back to the bullpen. We've had it with King. We had it with Chad Green for a while, where we have those guys where they'll get we need somebody to start, and we'll go from there. Well, there you go. So Santos could be one. Poteet's another one that's really been impressive.
I'm watching this one big time. Yeah, I need to see De Los Santos pitch better. Barclay is someone I've been high on, very, very high on, and when Poteet's been fantastic. And Andres Gomes is pitching today too, so keep an eye on this game. This will be good to watch.
Yeah. So for some reason I can't. It's not opening the stats on Holmes. So I wanted to see his saves versus attempts.
Well, I know last year he only blew like three saves.
Yeah,
over the last couple of years, he only has like 5 or 6. So I'll get those numbers for you in just a second.
Yeah, I know he had like a 2 ERA. He had a very low ERA. So
no, he's fine. He's a fine starter, closer. It's just that last year. We saw last year he had a 2.86 ERA, 2.86, 71 strikeouts in 63 innings. he saved. This is spring training stats. We don't want that. I don't like this MLB website, by the way. He had 24 saves and 27 opportunities, and the year before he was 20 for 25. So he's 44 for 52. It's not terrible. You'll take that from a guy that's supposed to not be a closer. I mean, he's got better save numbers than Neris, and everyone wanted him to take over as the closer. And a certain somebody wanted AJ Puck to be the closer, yet he struggled as a closer, and Holmes has been a lot better. Holmes is fine. Is he perfect? No, but
who is?
I'm a lot more comfortable with Holmes as the closer right now than I would have been Stevenson or Neris, because they don't really have that experience there. Having the experience is big, and this is a big year to prove himself because he is a free agent, and we're seeing the numbers that these relievers are getting. If Clay Holmes has a good year, which he probably will, because the numbers have been great for him in a Yankee uniform, he's going to get paid. I don't know if it's from the Yankees, but he's going to get paid big money. It's a huge year for Clay Holmes.
Yeah. I think if he duplicates last year, yeah, he's getting paid. Exactly. Well, that's exactly it. It's also his walk year. And we all know how players get in their walk year. You very rarely see anybody fall on their face. For some reason, just give everybody 1-year contracts, because that's the only time that we see these players actually perform. It's amazing how focused they are when the money's on the line.
Yeah, and I agree with Joan. Boone needs to be a lot better, because Donald's brought this up for several times. You can tell by his first pitch if Holmes is going to have it or not. He was very similar to Chapman. Remember how many times Chapman would come in the game? The first pitch would go 80 feet the other way, go into the second row, probably take someone's head off, and they'd keep him in there. Well, you can't take him out because you had to face 3 batters, but you can tell early on how Holmes is going to be pitching. Boone needs to be a little more alert to how he's pitching and have a quick hook on him if he's struggling. Because that's the thing. If Holmes struggles, he is going to get tagged. And that's the concern with him as a closer. But when he's on, he's unhittable. For him, it's just got to find those middle grounds and avoid those blow-up months that he had. Because last year he had a terrible August. Absolutely brutal. And that's what really derailed his season, because from being otherwise elite.
Yeah, and what sucks is it's not like, you can have 2 guys, warming up for the 9th inning, because you don't want to have that over their shoulder either. You have 1 year in incentives, TC, you're right. Frederick, have a good day. But we're going to be wrapping things up in a second. But I just want to say that I'm going to repeat this. Let's not get too carried away deep diving into all these spring training numbers. Okay. They go away in 2 weeks. It's let these guys get themselves ready how they see they need to get ready. What's going on, Dev? Just let them do their work. Right? When the games matter, then we'll look at the numbers a little closer. But until then, there's no need for it. Just get to opening day healthy. That's all we need as fans. That's all we should be asking. So, on that note, this is going to things. We will be signing off now. We'll be back Monday at 10 a.m. breaking down the games for the week. I know today's game is going to be insane. That's going to be. Is that a home game?
It is not. It's in Toronto. It's Toronto, wherever the hell Toronto plays. But the lineup is out. I don't know if you saw it yet. The lineup is out.
Yeah, you want to go?
I will go over the lineup for you. So, DJ LeMahieu starting things off at third base. Everyone's favorite $15 million veteran waste. Right fielder Juan Soto. So keep an eye out, obviously, because we have Aaron Judge batting right behind him. So the big 1-2 punch. Anthony Rizzo's cleaning up, playing first. Glaber's at second. Verdugo is in left. Grisham is DHing again. I don't get that. Kevin Smith is the shortstop, and Ben Rortvedt is the starting catcher. And Brian Hoke did mention a few names that are on the team as well. Groshans is going to be playing in this game, and Spencer Jones is also on the roster. So despite the fact that he was sent to minor league camp, he's going to be playing again. So there you go. That's why I wasn't too concerned that they put him in minor league camp, because we're going to see him. We're still going to see him. It doesn't mean you don't play. It means that you're just not going to be on the major league roster, I believe. But again, a lot can change. For a guy like Jeter Downs, even he could be added to the 40 man for all we know. So you're going to see these guys play.
Yep. And we are looking forward to seeing them play. I was hoping it was a home game where it's on the Yes app, but we'll have to find another way to watch it.
There are
So,
ways.
I will be, believe me, I'll be trying my best to figure out how to get this game. I'll listen to it on the radio if I have to. So, but that is going to wrap things up for us today. We hope everybody does enjoy their weekend. And like I said, we will be back on it's on MLB Network. Okay, thank you, John. We'll be back Monday, 10 a.m. So make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this out with your friends, the family, strangers around the corner. This has been a fun week. We enjoyed interacting with every single one of you. Thanks for hitting that sub button and getting us up there. And we are so close to 600. And we are trying to get to that point by opening day. And so, on that note, wear your pinstripes of pride and play hard.